Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Saturday. Welcome to Game Day Live, presented by the Let's Go Devils Podcast Network and the Primetime Radio Studios, along with Ann Crew Brew. My name is Vinnie Parise, and I am here with Shorts Guy, and we are happy and nervous to get you excited and set for New Jersey Devils hockey as they take on the Hartford Whalers. Welcome to all fans watching on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch. The Devils are looking for a win tonight over those Kane Whalers. Shorts Guy, the way you laughed at that really warmed my heart and made me happy that I called them the Whalers. They are wearing their white Hartford Whalers jerseys tonight. The Devils are actually playing the Whalers tonight, which is actually pretty sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. Those Whalers jerseys, that Whaler logo is so iconic for many reasons. It's so iconic.
It's just a hockey logo now.
It's a hockey logo. It's from a design standpoint, the use of the negative space is awesome. Just overall, the aesthetic of it is great. And I actually have a funny story with them. I've actually done some stuff. Well, at least did one particular thing with Pucky the Whale once. The Hartford Whalers. Pucky the Whale is still a pretty active mascot, and he goes around. He's got his own thing, so that was a lot of fun.
That is really cool. Now, I get people who live in either Hartford, Connecticut, people in Boston, people in Montreal, maybe even some people in New York, Maine, all of Massachusetts, Vermont, all the New England states. Those people are upset that the Hurricanes wear Hartford Whalers stuff because the owner ripped them out and put them in Carolina, and a lot of people would like to see the Whalers return. But as a 29-year-old Chicago kid who just loves hockey so much and knowing the history behind that logo, I like seeing the Carolina Hurricanes wear that. It doesn't offend me the way it offends other people. I get it. If who's a team I'm a rival of based on my location? If the Green Bay Packers, I hate them. I hope they lose every game and go 0-17 every year. But if they left and went to another place and then tried to wear that Packer jersey against the Bears, it would annoy me. So I get why, some of these people hate that they do that, but I'll tell you what, I'm excited to see the Devils wear red on the road against the Whalers. Just my personal thought.
I mean, I can get it too. I mean, I would hate if, and I hate relocating teams for anything. I hate any relocation. I really feel for the people of Arizona that they might lose their team, having gone through that saga in '95. So I hate that, and I can understand why they can see it. It's kind of like you're being taunted with like, oh, look at this is the team you lost. It would, it's, but it is so cool to see. It's definitely a hockey logo. It's definitely hockey history. They've got the World Hockey Association link to that. It's so cool. And could you imagine what the Metro Division would be with the Hartford Whaler coming back? Like, I'm curious if they would put them in the Metro or put them in the Atlantic. Like, if they would have it as a Boston rival or as one of ours. Like, it would just be, it would put yet another team in our area. It would be wild.
I would think they, geographically, I would think they would belong in the Metro because they're right there. And, Connecticut and New York have like a long-standing rivalry in sports with college and amateur level and, semi-pro type sports. But thinking of like hockey history and like where the Whalers belong in the history of the NHL, I would assume they would go in the Atlantic and then they would probably shove, either Florida or Tampa Bay. Trying to think of the other teams that maybe Detroit into the Metropolitan Division. Probably not Detroit. They feel very Atlantic-y to me too, even though they're nowhere near the Atlantic. They belong in the Central Division, in my opinion. But
geography and the way that the league has set up its divisions is a whole other conversation that we can go on and on
Yeah.
and on, because there are just some geographical things about these divisional lineups and these divisional how they're set up and who's in it.
Yep.
That
80% of the Atlantic Division flies over the Metropolitan Division to get to the Florida team.
Thank you. That's always been my bother. It's like you're flying over another division to get to one of your division rivals.
Yeah.
Yet one of the teams you fly over that could be and should be in your division is not. in the Carolina Hurricanes, who we played tonight, or the Hartford Raleigh Whalers, if you want to call them that.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to play, is it Brass Bonanza? That's their
Yes.
goal song when they're the Whalers. I hope they
Oh,
play that tonight.
okay.
I need it.
Great story about that. Great story about that. When a couple years ago, NYCFC, who's the other soccer team out of New York City, they are basically transients. They play in Yankee Stadium, but Yankee Stadium gets preference, and then they have an alternate site in I almost called it Shea, but Citi Field. But one time they had to play in Hartford. They had to play a home game in Hartford. So the next time that they played the Red Bulls at Red Bull Arena, that's the day that I was there at Pucky the Whale. He was there. And when the teams came out on the field for warm-ups, the Red Bulls played Brass Bonanza as a just like a stick it to city for having to play a home game up there in Hartford, and they gave all kinds of facts about the Hartford Whalers just to stick it to city, which was fantastic. Especially as a hockey person, I did that whole game on the stand in a Hartford Whalers jersey. I think it was a Ron Francis Hartford Whalers jersey I borrowed. It was so worth it, and just like a big fu to the to those to that stupid blue team. It was a ton of fun. I'll send our group a picture of me and Pucky because it's just so much. It was so much fun. But hearing Brass Bonanza, that's exactly it. Oh man, it was a lot of fun.
Please do. I
And
want to see
I'm
it.
sure they will. I'm sure they will.
That's outstanding. Now, I am really
Live
looking forward
look-in.
to seeing this. And yeah, we got the live looking coming in. Got the Carolina Hurricanes. There's a lot of Devils presence going on in
Yes.
the North
Yes.
Carolina area. There's going to be a lot of Devils fans there, I think, and we got one showing us coming in from the concourse here at PNC Arena.
Yeah, this is our old buddy intern Rob, who's down there in that area now. He's one of those Devils transplants. So what's up to Rob? I don't know if he can hear us. Sammy would be able to fill us in on that. But looking live looking from the concourse. I just saw one of last year's reverse retro jerseys walk by. There's a Whale jersey.
There you go.
Look at that, a Hurricanes NASCAR jacket.
That's awesome.
That's
that
a combo,
funny.
and that's a Carolina mullet right there.
There's
Man.
a lot of Whalers going around. Look at
There's
this.
Well, yeah, but
I've seen like 10, 15, 20 jerseys so far.
yeah, but think about it. Like this is their day to wear it. Like if we were to wear, like let's say the Devils were to go and wear, I mean the red and green jerseys. Anytime that they would wear the red and green jerseys, we would see a lot of those red and green jerseys. If let's say the Devils were to actually bring back the old Colorado Rockies jerseys, I'm sure that you would see a lot of them. If we were to bring back a Kansas City Scouts jersey, like we would see them as well. Like it, we would see the same thing if we were if we were rocking jerseys like this. But there's a lot of blue and green. There's a jersey. All right. Look, this is great. This is a great view watching intern Rob walk into the arena. I got to make it down there for the game.
Go straight from
just no questions asked. Just no questions asked down the stairs, sir. Well done, Rob.
Yep, very, very good. It's a nice looking barn. There's no doubt about it.
Is.
And you know what? I will say this: we don't like the Hurricanes very much as Devils fans. They're probably becoming a top 3 or 4 rival of this team. But
even worse if you were at that game 7.
Oh yeah, yes, of course. I honestly,
one of the worst.
I love seeing a football town like this, though, embrace hockey this much, though I'm not going to lie about it. I love knowing that Clemson and Duke and North Carolina are all in the backyard, and here's this hockey team that seems to be one of the elite teams in the NHL year after year. That is like cool to me. I hate relocation. I'm with you. I want Arizona to stay. Austin Matthews doesn't exist if the Coyotes never exist.
Yes, exactly.
I just think there are so many things that come with the more people that enjoy the great game, the better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And it's, if any, and they're talking about relocation, and the rumor is Salt Lake City. Man, I'll tell you what, if there's any region or city that deserves to have a team back, I don't know why they don't look to Quebec City. Like that would be my first thing. That's somewhat that a team should go back to. But I'm not in those decisions, and I know the league wants to expand. And here come our New Jersey Devils taking the ice, and we lost the feed.
Yeah, well, at least, we got to have the Coyotes for a hot minute. I don't know if it's not for sure that they're leaving Salt Lake City. And I'm all for people of Salt Lake City getting hockey.
Mhm.
Like, expand there. That's fine. I know it becomes harder to win the Stanley Cup, and every team loses, players. But at the end of the day, if it makes more people watch and appreciate hockey, then like go for it. Salt Lake City, it's a northwestern state in the United States that I don't think hockey as is big in. We've seen what the Carolina Hurricanes and the two Florida teams have done for hockey in the Southeast.
Mhm.
I think that could really go on to do good things, and if they do move along with this transition into Salt Lake City, I just really hope that it's through expansion.
Yeah,
Expansion.
and I'm just gonna. It's more of a Rocky Mountain state than a northwestern state, there, Vin. It's one of the four corners.
Yeah,
of Utah.
you're right. You're right. You know what my dumbass was thinking of? Do you want to know what state I was thinking of in my head? I was thinking
Idaho?
of Montana for whatever reason. Just for whatever, that's the state. I know that Salt Lake City's in Utah and it's in the mountains, but like for some reason in my brain I was picturing Montana like way up there. But like yeah, it is a Rocky Mountain state. They'd probably be great with like the Colorado Avalanche and the Coyotes and Vegas, like the little trifecta of. Did I include the Arizona Coyotes though? Not if they move, then they can't be rivals with them because they won't exist. But if they expand there,
hey guys, I got to break this. I texted you guys. VTech was out first.
Oh, that's gonna be a polarizing topic tonight. Should VTech be starting?
Yeah. Well, you know what? At this point, it's not like Nico Dawes has been all world, and they've won more games with VTech than anybody else.
Yeah.
He has a respectable record. I don't think anybody can really argue that. What is he now? 17, 9-2 or something like that.
Yes,
and
Schmid
and Dawes are under 500 by like a handful of games. So like the Devils, they play hard in front of VTech. If they can, play that well in front of him against this Carolina team, things could be different. Hopefully that is the case. I will say, before the Calgary Flames came to the Rock, they mowed down the Boston Bruins. And then they mowed down the New Jersey Devils. And today, earlier this afternoon, they mowed down the New York Islanders. 3 teams that all expect to be in the playoffs. The Devils, out of the 3 games, gave the Flames the hardest test out of those 3 games that they've played and won all 3. So, I'm not. The Devils, VTech was terrible in their last game. I mean, that's just, and Markstrom was outstanding. And that creates a whole new discussion that we have to deal with of people on X just demanding that they trade Seamus Casey and Dawson Mercer for Markstrom right now, who's 34 years old. And that would just be a wonderful idea and certainly wouldn't hurt their future in any way, shape, or form if they were to make a dumb move like that. Like, I understand like wanting to make the playoffs this year. Nobody wants the Devils to make the playoffs this season more than me. I honestly believe I am in the top 1% of human beings that want the Devils to make the playoffs. I'm also in the top 1% that wants them to be a sustained playoff team for years and years to come. And I don't think making crazy moves like that is a good idea, but I'm sure you have an opinion on it.
I do. Yeah. I mean, Markstrom played very well against us. I will give him that. He made game-saving saves. That's for sure. And if you think about it, Markstrom's motivation to play very well against us in particular could have potentially been that the trade talks to come here, to come to an up-and-coming team, are out there and they're pretty evident. So he had every reason to go out there like that game was his tryout to get traded to the New Jersey Devils. So that to me makes a ton of sense of why he played very well. And he did play very well, like you said, and they beat the Bruins, and they beat those jerks on the island as well. But to echo your point about mortgaging the future for a goalie that's a little bit older, that's not a long-term sustainable solution. And if we were ready to go into the playoffs and potentially push for a cup this year, then yeah, that's a move that you should make. And I know that people are down on VTech. When VTech's on, VTech's on. Unfortunately, sometimes when he's off, and that's the downside. And especially when he's off and your defense is shoddy, forget it. Your game's shot out of the water. So that's not a good situation to begin with right there as well. So there's a lot to it, and it's one of those things where who would we be willing to give up in order to get VTech into this lineup? And that's the $1 million question, because Calgary is going to want a lot to give up Markstrom, because Markstrom is they've got Wolf, I think his name is, that they have either as their backup or is coming up in the AHL from them. But let me just look at the Western Conference standings here for the wild card. I mean, Calgary. So here's the other thing: we're all crying, trade for Markstrom, trade for Markstrom, trade for Markstrom. Calgary's 1 point out of a wild card spot. They are not going to trade key pieces being that close, unless they have a fall from grace and they just drop like a stone and are out of the playoff race. There's no way that trade is happening. So I think we can squash that right now, because with them having 55 points and St. Louis having 56, LA having 56, and LA dropping like a stone through the Western Conference standings, that trade for Markstrom, unless they have all the confidence in the world to go Wolf, which I doubt it, they're not going to trade a piece like Markstrom when they're a point out of the playoff spot themselves. It would just be stupid on their part.
The Flames have a better chance of making the playoffs than the Devils.
They do. They do.
It is Wolf, who's currently their backup. And they have Dan Vladar, who's having a real good season too, but he is currently injured. I just looked; he's on injured reserve, so I don't know the timetable of his return. But yeah, I'm with you. It's going to be hard to trade for. 25 teams in the league believe they're going to the playoffs this year, right now. I mean, who legitimately thinks they're out? Like the Chicago Blackhawks. They know for a fact they're out, right? Like that's not even a question.
Yeah.
The Arizona Coyotes are getting there, even though they're not like full blown out of it. The Sharks and the Ducks are done. They have no shot. They're still in the 30s in terms of points. I'm assuming the Buffalo Sabres and the Ottawa Senators assume they're out, which is unfortunate because they're two completely talented roster groups, and I think a lot of expectations were on those teams this year, but they're done. And then the Columbus Blue Jackets are 10 points behind the 7th place team in the Metropolitan Division. They're the only Metro team that's dead. Washington, New Jersey, and Pittsburgh all have 53 points. Washington just got their 52nd, 53rd point like right before we went live. But the Devils and Penguins, they're going to play tonight, I think, or the Penguins played yesterday. The Devils played tonight for sure. Obviously, that's why we're here. The Islanders already lost today. So, like, the Metro is just so stacked. I mean, so how many did I even say? Columbus 1, Ottawa 2, Buffalo 3.
It's about 6 or 7.
Chicago 4. Yeah, like, literally. And so that means like about 25 teams legitimately think that they have a shot, a realistic shot to get to the Stanley Cup playoffs this year. And then if you get in, I mean, we've had years. I can't remember if it was last year, the year before, or the year before that. Within the last handful of years, all 4 division winners went down to wild cards. And we've seen it time and time again. We've seen teams in the 3rd seed go on to win the Stanley Cup. Pittsburgh's done it. Tampa Bay's done it. We've seen President's Trophy winners choke.
Florida almost did it as a wild card team last year.
Literally. And they came into that juggernaut Vegas team last year that like missed the playoffs the year before by a point. All of a sudden they get Jack Eichel and he's healthy and looking good. And oh, wow, look at Vegas. They were a Jack Eichel away from winning the Stanley Cup. Can they go back to back? Well, we'll see. Going back to back's really hard. Edmonton was 1,000 points out of the playoff race to start the year. They fire their coach and they look like the best team of all time. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this trade deadline goes with, the parity in this league. There's not that one team this year that just seems to like blow everybody out in the regular season and like make it seem like they are the legit cup favorite. Boston felt like that last year and then they were out in the first round. Colorado felt like that 2 years ago. They ended up going on to win the Stanley Cup, but they weren't even the President's Trophy winners. Florida was. So, there are so many dangerous teams. If the Devils did trade for like a goalie that might not be one on your radar, I wrote an article yesterday and included Markstrom, Merzlikins from Columbus, and Gibson from Anaheim. Let's say it's not one of those like big names. It's Leonard from Washington or something like that. Just got a shutout today against the Bruins, but like a lower name, not one that you would think is like a high profile one. But he comes to the Devils and he's got his game going. And Jack Hughes gets 40 points in his last 30 games, and Nico Hischier continues popping off the way that he's been in the last 10 games or so. Brack keeps going. Luke Hughes wins the Calder or comes close to beating Bedard for the Calder. All these things could go their way and they end up making the playoffs. That's why I don't think you should necessarily not try to do what you can do to win. But like also there's the chance that like VTech all of a sudden proves that giving up an odd goal to Kevin Rooney was like a fluke and the Flames are hot and everything they're touching turns to gold right now. And he shuts out freaking Carolina. Harvard tonight.
Hartford, not Harvard.
Hartford. No, I know. I called him Harvard.
By the way, Harvard, the best ice I've ever skated on is at Harvard.
I'm 0% surprised. Their rink, from what I watch Harvard hockey a lot, and I
awesome.
grew up with like an infatuation of Harvard University. Like, oh, that's the Ivy League school that every smart person wants to go to. And then I realized, oh, you're not smart. You're not going to Harvard, you moron. But you can watch from afar and enjoy what they do over there at the Crimson. But yeah, Hartford. And you know what? We'll see what happens. I'm kind of riding out this season because I know the Devils' future should at minimum include one Stanley Cup. Like I'm thinking at least totally deep playoff runs like Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Jesper Bratt, Seamus Casey, Luke Hughes, Nemitz looks like a superstar. Dougie Hamilton's going to come back and he's still an impactful player. You got Mercer, you got Holtz. Halla loves being a Devil. Toffoli hopefully signs an extension.
You've not even mentioned Timo. If Timo wakes up, holy hell! If Timo wakes up, but that's the type of season he's had that you wouldn't even mention him in the top 8 of the players you're talking about because he's had a down season. But he wakes up and holy hell, like this is he wakes up and then you get the likes of Siegenthaler to come back as well. Plus we get John Marino keeps doing what he's doing, and as a 26-year-old gets even better. Like holy hell, this team could be unstoppable for years to come. We just got to get there. And I think, unfortunately, last year's playoff run worked against us as far as fans because we saw the promised land and we're like, this is it. And it's such a young team that it's going to be up and down and up and down. And, right now this team has to learn to get back there. And this is a one of those seasons where you just have to take these lessons of like, why can't we win a game? Why can't we score first? Like this and that. And you have to learn from it. If you're smart, if you're a good player, hell, if you're a great player, you have to learn from this season. Nothing is bad. You can always use everything as a lesson, and this season has to be a lesson. And we were ahead of schedule last year. I want to say that we were way ahead of schedule. I think flip these 2 seasons. If we had a season like this last year and we had last year's season this year, it would make much more sense. It doesn't make sense right now because we were punching well above our weight, but then the injury bug hit us this year and it's been tough. It's been super tough. And we saw bright flashes with Akira who hasn't been able to find it. I don't even think he's starting down in Utica right now because that other, I forget what his name is. I saw him. He just got another shutout in the AHL.
Is it Tyler Brennan?
Let me look that up.
No, it might not be Tyler Brennan.
It's someone. Anyway, talk and I'll Poultier. I think Sammy just said Poultier.
Yeah, that sounds right. I mean, I agree with you. And last year was unrealistic in terms of injury luck. This year is unrealistic in terms of injury bad luck, in my opinion. So you figure going forward, you find some kind of medium. Because injuries are going to happen. You're never going to have last year, probably ever again, honestly, because that was just true good luck, how healthy the team was last year.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But I don't think you're going to have this type of bad luck every single season. Hopefully this is the worst as it gets for this core. So, it is what it is. The team is who they are. Just enjoy the rest of the season. They have a chance to make the playoffs. And, that's not something we're used to as Devils fans in the last 10 years or so.
Well, it's not, that's not something That's not something, and this, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. That's not something that you younger fans, Vinny, are used to. Fans
I
like Sammy
know.
and I, who have been around for a while, are
Yes.
used to playoff success and always making the playoffs. But then again, that generation that came before us, the 82 to the 88 generation, they knew nothing but misery. And then 88 came along, and then the early 90s, and then the mid 90s, we hit our stride. We won 3 cups, should have won 5. That's another story. So you're not used to playoff success like Sammy and I are. And that's no fault of your own, but you're just a little bit younger than us. But this is the type, constantly being in the playoffs is Devils hockey, and that's what it should always be.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, and hopefully that ends up becoming the norm. They haven't made the playoffs 2 years in a row since it's got to be they missed in 2011, which the following year they went to the Stanley Cup final. So that would mean 09-10 would be the last year they made the playoffs, and then they also had made it the year before. So 08, 09, and 09-10 is the last 2 years in a row that the Devils made it. And I think that was like part of like a 14-year streak or something like that. But, you know, they can get back to that. I believe in what they're building, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah. I mean, it was tough when they did not make the cup, the playoffs after winning the cup in '96. That was tough. But I want to say '96 was the last season before that 11 season that you mentioned, and then we went to the cup finals. So yeah, it's it's always going to be there's that gray reverse one. I love that gray reverse one. That's another hot one too. Like these jerseys are just,
well, here comes
as long
another
as
one.
it's as long as it's not a jersey from the Blue Jerks across the river or the Blue Jerks on the island, I pretty much can respect any really hot jersey that the league has put out if they do it right. Like Florida's reverse retro last year, that was on point. So that's right up. Those gray Whaler jerseys are just some of the best. Oh man, Sam is on us. We have to. Hey Vinny.
No,
Vinny.
Go ahead.
I gotta say, man, I'm thirsty. Do you have any suggestions for a beverage?
You're thirsty, huh, Shorts guy?
I am.
I have the perfect solution for you. And Crew Brew! Drink and Crew Brew. Join our crew today and drink and Crew Brew, where we make winning memories together, one crew at a time. And you will be able to enjoy an Crew Brew with us if you join our tailgate. Go to joinourcrew.com,
Yes.
sign up for the letter, and get some details on what's going on. We will have our Stadium Series tailgate at MetLife Stadium. Very excited for that, when the New Jersey Devils are going to take on the Philadelphia Flyers at MetLife Stadium. It's going to be cold. Make sure you bring your sweatshirts to wear under your Stadium Series jerseys. I believe that I read that the feels like temperature at puck drop is expected to be like 13 degrees or something like that. Like it's supposed to be pretty cold. So make sure you bring your Crew Brew and warm up your veins a little bit. You're going to want to be drinking Crew Brew. Go to joinourcrew.com. Join our tailgate. Lot M2. Marty 2. Marty 2. M2. It's supposed to snow after the game too, according to Sam. Predictions.
Early weather. Yeah, predictions, not weather predictions. I will say this: while everyone's throwing their predictions into the chat, no, even if the feels like temperature, which I kind of hate that marker because I'm a weather nerd. Even if the feels like temperature is 13, that's nowhere near as cold as the outdoor game at Yankee Stadium. Nothing will be colder than that game.
I wasn't there. I watched it on TV, and I remember thinking about how miserable it looked, especially the Devils were up 3-1, and then they blew that lead. Just disgusting.
Yeah. That first period was magical. And then it all went to hell.
Yep. Elias was a better 39-year-old hockey player than Derek Jeter was a better 39-year-old baseball player, and it's not close. So it's time for predictions. Shorts guy.
Love it.
Brought to you by Crew Brew. What is your prediction for tonight's game between the New Jersey Devils and the Carolina Hurricanes?
All right. So prediction. This is a must win. This game's a must-win, no question. It's a Metro rival. It's a Metro Division opponent, and we must win this game if we want to make the playoffs. Look at that Heischer jersey right there in Carolina. If we want to make the playoffs, we have to start winning these games at hand, because the next thing you know, we'll be on the same even keel as everyone else. And I feel like a broken record saying we have to win these games. We have to win these games. Tonight's a 4-point swing. I'm predicting VTech bounces back. Devils have a 4-2 victory tonight over the Hartford, Carolina Whaler Hurricanes.
I like that prediction. I like that prediction a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Our buddy Sam Wu predicts 6-4 in favor of the New Jersey Devils. For Sam, that's a very modest, conservative pick.
It is. Yeah, it is. And I'm okay with that. What are we got in the chat
me
here?
too. So looking at the chat, it actually seems like, I don't think we're going to be, we're not going to be as positive as we were going into the Calgary game. A lot of people picking that other team. Let's see. Steve Engel says 5-2 Canes. Of course, he picked against the Devils. But you know what? Steve Engel picking against the Devils is good news usually. Whenever they play better teams, he picks the other team, and the Devils end up beating them, like Vegas and Boston and Colorado. Joseph picked 5-2 Devils. Eric 3-2 Devils. Max 7-6 Devils. Selecta 5-4 Devils. Devils. Ted says 5-4 Devils. Ramona said 4-2 Devils. Felix says Devils 5-4 in overtime. Yeah, absolutely. Steve Engel says reverse psychology party of one. Your table is ready. Very, very funny.
There you
That's
go.
actually very, very funny.
Did you get Beachmaster 5-3 or 5-4?
No, I did not. I think I might have glossed right. Yep.
And then Zach 6. Oh no, we're not going to read Zach's because Zach is going against the Devils. But I do have to point this out.
Yeah.
I do have to point this out. Ted, I know you sent me a couple of messages. I'm going to get back to him tonight while I'm watching the game. But Ted is ready to support Shorts Guy being the Devils' next goalie. So he said in the chat for me to suit up. Gear's ready to go. At least my gear's the right color. So I'm ready to suit up as intern Rob is getting a beer.
Absolutely. Get that beer, Rob. I'm predicting the Devils win this game 2-1. We're going to go low scoring. 2-1. I'll take any win. I'll take 1-0 in a shootout. Bore me to death and win. Bore me to sleep and win, Devils. Please. Please, that would be awesome. But for everybody watching in the chat, we enjoy you very, very much. Thank you very much for joining in today's show. We only have 2 more of me doing one from the Midwest before I get on a plane and
I can't wait.
bullet
to
New Jersey. I am going to be hanging out at American Whiskey with all of you less than a week, Thursday night. It's going to be so much fun. I literally can't wait to try Anchor Brew. I am itching to get there. I literally cannot wait. We have 2 more shows. The Nashville Predators and the Seattle Kraken. We are going to get those. Those are important. We got to take care of our business. We got work to do before I get on that airplane. But when I'm on that airplane, I'll be ready to land in Newark, New Jersey to get myself some Wawa, some Taylor ham, and, whatever it is you do in New Jersey. And then on Thursday
we're getting hot dogs, Vin.
I'll be at American Whiskey.
Hot
dogs. Hot dogs. So stoked. So stoked. I can't wait. And again, thank you to everybody for making this possible. It's very, very fun. I'm so excited to do the tailgate, and we're going to have lots of fun. Very much fun. And make sure you follow us on twitter.com, x.com. It might be called these days. It's at Let's Go Devils Pod. Very excited to hear from all of you as the Devils take on the Hurricanes in just a couple minutes. Make sure you grab your Anchor Brew and go watch the game right now. And as always, let's go Devils.